The trending posts this week reveal a single architecture of extraction operating across energy, finance, technology, and empire. Households pay escalating rates for gas infrastructure the market is abandoning. Private equity strips assets from productive enterprises while calling it efficiency. A nuclear-armed state plans assassinations during peace talks, bulldozes refugee camps, and fractures territory with settlements designed to make reversal impossible. A social media monopoly engineers hardware workarounds to sustain its surveillance apparatus. An Irish Illumina decision exposes how supply chains bind neutral states to war machines. And a privacy-focused operating system returns after being squeezed by the same platform power that dominates mobile computing. These are not separate stories. They are the same story told in different registers. Capital protects its accumulation paths by any means necessary, and the state provides the violence, legal framework, and infrastructure to secure them. Start with the gas transition. Every year of delay transfers wealth from ratepayers to utility shareholders. The mechanism is straightforward. Regulated utilities earn a guaranteed return on capital invested in pipelines, compressors, and storage. As electrification reduces gas throughput, the fixed costs of that infrastructure are spread across fewer therms sold. The per unit cost rises. Households, disproportionately low income, disproportionately renters, absorb the increase. Shareholders collect the same return on a depreciating asset base. The utility has no incentive to accelerate electrification. Its fiduciary duty runs the other way. Regulators, captured by industry revolving doors, approve rate cases that socialize stranded asset risk. The climate cost is externalized entirely. This is not market failure. It is market design. The regulated monopoly model was built to guarantee capital recovery for infrastructure build-out. It was never built for managed decline. The result is a machine that converts climate necessity into regressive taxation. Private equity operates the same logic at a different scale. The post on private equity damage describes a business model, not a bug. Buy a functioning enterprise with borrowed money. Load the debt onto the enterprise. Extract fees, dividends, and management payments. Strip assets, real estate, intellectual property, pension surpluses. Cut staffing, maintenance, and quality to service the debt. When the enterprise collapses, walk away with the extracted value. Creditors, workers, and communities absorb the losses. The legal structure, limited liability, bankruptcy priority, carried interest tax treatment, was written to enable this. Lobbyists maintain it. Politicians fund campaigns with the proceeds. The damage is the product. Now connect this to the settlements. Israel's approval of 13 new settlements to fracture the West Bank and create an irreversible status quo uses state power to lock in territorial extraction. Settlements are infrastructure. They require roads, water, electricity, security, all subsidized by the state. They fragment Palestinian land into non-contiguous cantons, destroying agricultural viability and economic coherence. The settlers themselves are often incentivized by housing subsidies and tax breaks. The military protects them. The legal system legitimizes them. The result is a demographic and geographic fact that no negotiation can unwind. This is capital accumulation by dispossession, backed by the full apparatus of a nuclear-armed state. The bulldozing of refugee camps and denial of return completes the circuit. Refugees are not just displaced people. They are a legal claim. Their right of return, enshrined in UN Resolution 194, is a title deed. Preventing return extinguishes the claim. Bulldozing the camps erases the physical evidence. The settlers take the land. The state takes the security rationale. The international community takes the facts on the ground as a reason to stop pressing. The assassination plan during peace talks reveals the enforcement layer. Negotiations threaten the status quo. The status quo is the extraction. Killing negotiators protects the extraction. This is not aberrant. It is the logic of a system that cannot tolerate a political solution because a political solution would require dismantling the settlement infrastructure, ending the occupation, and recognizing Palestinian sovereignty over resources, water, land, gas fields off Gaza, labor. The extraction would stop. Ireland's Illumina decision shows how neutral states are integrated into the war economy. Alumina is the feedstock for aluminum. Aluminum is essential for military aircraft, missiles, armor. Russia is a major aluminum producer. Irish Alumina, from Aughanish, owned by Rusal until sanctions, now managed by a Swiss commodity trader, feeds the supply chain. The Irish government's framing, "We do not want materials produced in Ireland to be sent to support Russia's war machine," acknowledges the reality. Irish production already supports it. The decision is whether to formalize the cutoff. Either way, the supply chain is a weapon. Neutrality is a marketing term for a node in the logistics network. Meta's DDR4 in DDR5 workaround illustrates platform power over hardware supply chains. Meta, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, operates at a scale that distorts global memory markets. A global memory shortage threatens its data center build-out. Rather than wait, it engineers a custom chip to make incompatible memory work. This is not innovation for public benefit. It is capital deploying engineering talent to sustain the surveillance advertising machine. The memory goes into servers that train models, serve ads, track users, moderate content, and enforce the platform's terms of service. The custom chip is a moat. It deepens Meta's advantage over smaller competitors who cannot afford such workarounds. It locks in the infrastructure of extraction. Calyx OS returning after a hiatus tells the other side of the mobile duopoly. Google's Android and Apple's iOS control the software stack on billions of devices. They set the terms for app distribution, data access, hardware attestation, and security updates. A privacy-focused fork like Calyx OS depends on Google's upstream code, Google's hardware, Pixel phones, and Google's attestation keys. When Google changes the terms, as it did with Play Integrity API and hardware attestation, the fork breaks. Calyx OS's return means they found a workaround, but the structural dependency remains. The duopoly sets the boundaries of the possible. Privacy is a feature allowed only within those boundaries. These 8 posts map a single system. Energy utilities extract rent from captive ratepayers while blocking transition. Private equity extracts value from productive enterprises while calling it efficiency. The Israeli state extracts land, water, and sovereignty from Palestinians while calling it security. The Irish state extracts diplomatic cover for its supply chain position while calling it neutrality. Meta extracts compute capacity from global supply chains while calling it innovation. The mobile duopoly extracts behavioral data from billions while calling it service. The state is not a neutral arbiter. It writes the laws that enable utility rate bases, private equity tax treatment, settlement legality, export controls, platform immunity, and hardware attestation standards. It enforces them with police, militaries, courts, and regulators. It subsidizes the infrastructure, pipelines, roads, data centers, chip fabs, military bases. It absorbs the losses, stranded assets, bankrupt enterprises, refugee crises, supply chain disruptions, privacy harms. The counterargument is that these are separate policy problems with separate solutions. Electrification mandates, private equity regulation, two-state solution, export licensing, antitrust enforcement, open source mandates. Each has its advocacy community, its legislative proposal, its regulatory proceeding. Each treats its domain as isolable. But the power that blocks electrification is the same power that writes private equity tax law, funds settlements, negotiates trade agreements, lobbies against antitrust, and sets hardware attestation standards. It is concentrated capital acting through the state. Solving any one piece requires confronting that concentration. The utility cannot be forced to strand its own assets without political power that also can rewrite bankruptcy priority, and settlement subsidies, cut military aid, break platform monopolies, and mandate interoperability. The material condition is this: the rate of profit on extraction, rent, interest, monopoly pricing, land valorization, data harvesting, exceeds the rate of profit on production. Capital flows to extraction. The state follows. The result is the world in these 8 posts. The call to action is not a list of reforms. It is the recognition that the struggles against utility rate hikes, private equity looting, settlement expansion, refugee erasure, war supply chains, platform monopoly, and mobile duopoly are one struggle. The tenant fighting a gas bill increase, the worker at a private equity-owned hospital, the Palestinian denied return, the Irish activist tracking Illumina shipments, the engineer building alternative hardware, the developer maintaining Calyx OS. They are fighting the same system. Their coordination is the only force that can confront the concentration of capital and the state that serves it. Build that coordination. Share the analysis. Name the system. The extraction is not inevitable. It is maintained. It can be stopped. Please like, comment, follow, share. It really helps out. Until next time, comrades.